Welcome to this video on the SOMOS framework for risk assessment. In this episode, we will look at the phase of exploring. The SOMOS model consists of a series of phases or steps. In step 1, we will look at the phase of exploring or describing the multi-use system. In this video, we will look at what are we going to do in this phase, with whom are we going to do this, and we will provide you with some practical tools you may use in this phase. First, let's look at the activities. Describe your activity. Identify the multi-use activities planned for or taking place. Identify relevant actors and describe the multi-use system in terms of its components, the interactions, and perhaps already conflicts or problems that you can see. Then we look at our stakeholders. Stakeholders are people that can provide you with data, information and evidence on crucial steps in the multi-use process. So who are your stakeholders? So that's you, it's the other. And who do you consider to be a stakeholder in your endeavor? But also, who does consider themselves to be a stakeholder and who is crucial to have on board in this process? Then we will provide you with some tools you can use. There's policy analysis, stakeholder mapping and stakeholder analysis. In the policy analysis, you take a look at all policies, laws, regulations that may affect your operations. Now, who can help you in this process? Of course, there are people who can provide and or interpret information about the policy. Then you have the people that make the policy, such as public officials and administrators. And of course, you have the people that police the policy. Then we will look at stakeholder mapping, which is basically making a list of all stakeholders in your project. So, be it internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, or any other group of people that consider themselves to be a stakeholder. A tool you can use is snowball sampling. If you have identified a certain stakeholder, you can ask this stakeholder, who else do you consider to be stakeholder as well, and should we include in our process? Then, when you have your list of stakeholders, you can do a stakeholder analysis, which is an analysis of the position of your stakeholders. We analyze the stakeholders by looking at their interest and their influence. At the bottom of this picture, you can find the interests of stakeholders, so low interest or high interest, and on the left-hand side, you find the influence of the stakeholder, being high or low. For a stakeholder with a low interest in your project and low influence, this is the least important group of stakeholders. Stakeholders with a high interest in your project, but with low influence, you definitely want to consider this group. For a group with low interest but high influence, you definitely have to meet their needs. And for the group with a high interest and also high influence on your project, these are the so-called key players, the group of people that you definitely want to include in your project. So, describe what you are going to do. Look at policies and stakeholders. Who is important for you and who should be included in the next steps of your risk assessment? In our next video, we will look at the phase of understanding.